Hello, and welcome to Pop Culture Shark, a podcast live stream about everything pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
Today we will be talking about Moon Knight. We also have a lot of news to go over, and we'll touch on Doctor Strange too a little bit. Caleb still has not seen it. I know some of you all have not seen it, so we'll keep it non-spoilery today when it comes to Doctor Strange. It'll be full spoilers though for Moon Knight, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm seeing Doctor Strange literally after we're done streaming.
Yeah. So, let's see. Doing two things at once here. So Caleb, how was your week this week?
It was pretty good. The weekend has been pretty hectic. I'm from Louisville, and
Yes.
the Kentucky Derby was this weekend. Now, for those who don't know, you're either at the Kentucky Derby or you leave town.
Or you stay in your house.
Yeah, so we went up to Indianapolis. I'd never been to Indianapolis before.
Okay.
But it was super cool. It was also free comic book day, so those were cool too. And so we went to a couple comic shops. We went to this bar arcade up there called 16-bit.
Well, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So like you walk in and all the machines are free. You know, like you walk in, they ask for your ID just to make sure, but it's all the machines are free, and they have like nerdy based drinks. Like I got one that was really good called the Carrie Fisher. I had to get the Carrie Fisher for May the 4th, even though it was the 7th.
That sounds dangerous. A Carrie Fisher.
Yes. Well, and it was topped with rock candy, so it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But no, that the trip was a lot of fun. And then today was Mother's Day, so we went out to lunch with my mom.
Awesome. It's been a busy week. Everything's kind of running together in my head. After watching Justice League Dark, it's 6 hours of Moon Knight and Doctor Strange 2 and working a job and doing everything else. It's just everything's running together in my head. So we'll see how today's show goes. But yeah, not a terrible week. Some things are starting to work out, and so things are going good right now. But anyhow, let's get on to the news. So first off, we have some unhappy news. We lost another great comic book artist, and that would be George Perez passed away.
Yeah, one of the greats. Pretty much, if you're not thinking of the anime Teen Titans, you're probably thinking of his Teen Titans, and just another one of those legendary artists that we've lost.
Yeah, and I look over my shelf of books, and he did Hulk, Future Imperfect, and Infinity Gauntlet, and I think he did Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's George Perez, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, I mean he's just a legendary artist and just a heck of a nice guy, and it's just really sad news.
Yeah, Wolfman and Perez, they did a bunch because Crisis was also Wolfman, so they just did a lot together.
Yeah, and Crisis was modern readers may not realize how big a deal Crisis was. Really saved that company. They were comic books were a mess. There were so many different timelines, and the continuity was terrible. And they were like, "Okay, we got to fix all this." And Crisis went a long way to kind of streamline everything, but it also caused its own problems and so on. But that's probably a different show topic. So, yeah, so he'll be missed. It's a shame that he passed away. We also lost John Cherry today. He was part of the duo with Jim Varney, who created the Ernest P. Worrell character. He was one that directed most of the movies, and the channel did the commercial spots and stuff. So, just sad passing. So, so let's move on to some happier news. Well, I don't know if it's happier. We did watch Moon Knight this week. Season 2 is a little bit in doubt at the moment. Um, I don't think the ratings were super strong on Moon Knight, but it's hard to tell with Disney Plus.
Right.
Um,
Well,
a lot of the
and
online chatter for the series was quiet, so
we can get into it. I'm kind of. It wasn't something that I really wanted a season 2 on, but of course, the way it ended, now I do. But there was a way to end it that you didn't need to do
yeah,
that. But we'll get to that.
yeah, yeah. We'll definitely talk about Moon Knight here in a minute. Um, we got any other news I'm forgetting, Caleb? I'm trying to remember.
They had the new Obi-Wan trailer.
The new Obi-Wan trailer. I know I saw it. Like I said, I've been so busy this week; it's all blurring together in my head.
I think the standout thing was Ewan McGregor is really starting to channel Alec Guinness. He's definitely doing an Alec Guinness impression at this point, which is really cool. Especially whenever he says, when the time comes, he must be trained. He says it like the way he says trained really sounds like the way Alec Guinness said afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, I'm really hoping that Owen is a big part because he was in the trailer. You know, he was talking with Obi-Wan, so I'm hoping that he gets some time because there's an interesting character there who doesn't want his nephew to get caught up in all this intergalactic legendary battles. So there's something there.
I think Owen's a great character because if you just watch A New Hope, you think, oh, he's just this cranky old man that is fighting with his adopted teenage son and or nephew or whatever. And no, there are reasons why he's telling him all this, and
right.
Those have consequences. So yeah, I think he's a great character that doesn't get enough attention in Star Wars lore. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic about the Obi-Wan series. We'll see. One of the things that you're seeing happen a lot with movies and TV shows where they're bringing back old characters is it's really a platform to introduce a new character to replace them. I don't know if Obi-Wan is going to be one of those type shows, but they are showing one of those Inquisitors a lot in the trailer. So I'm like, okay, is he going to convert her to the light, or is it going to really be about her? I don't know. So we'll see. That makes me a little nervous. I just want an Obi-Wan series. I don't want all that. So
right.
All right. So let's do something new. We're gonna do the rant of the week, and I went and saw Doctor Strange yesterday. Overall, I enjoyed the film. Yesterday I was saying it was probably an 8 out of 10. Today I'm down to about a 7. So it's one of those things where you start thinking about the movie a little bit more. You're like, wait a second, and you start realizing some things didn't quite work as well as you thought on first viewing.
Yeah, that's why I don't like reviews like directly after you see something.
Yeah, so let me pull up what I think is a huge issue with this movie. This will be non-spoilery. I'm not going to get anything I'm going to talk about is what you saw in the trailers for the most part, or what's not in the movie. But here's the title image: Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This is not a good title for this movie, and that is what my rant is about, is the title of this film. And we have known about this title for 3 years or so. It's been a while since they revealed it.
I made fun of it because I thought it was a stupid sounding title.
Well, it's kind of a play on In the Mouth of Madness. So I get what they were going for. The problem is this title puts a thought in your head when you see it. And that is, at least for most of the fans, there is already a multiverse that we know about, and that's the movie multiverse. All these different movie studios have the rights to these characters. You had Fox that had at the time had the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. You had other studios who made like a Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren. There's a Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck and Elektra with what's her name, Jennifer Garner. There was the Lou Ferrigno Hulk. There's all these characters that are from different types of the multiverse in the MCU, and so the fan speculation for a long time was, oh, Doctor Strange is going to see all these characters. This is going to be like Spider-Verse on steroids,
Mm-hmm.
And there's none of that in this movie. None whatsoever. So if that is what you think you're going to get in this movie, you're not. Other than what you saw in the trailer, that character that's revealed in the trailer, that's really the only character from another. And he's even not really from another. You'll see. When you see the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. But this is a terrible, terrible title for this film. So what I'm gonna do is propose some different titles for this movie that would have been better.
Now here's my question.
Okay,
real quick. Do you think that this title may or may not have been more of a misdirection, kind of like how Captain America, the Winter Soldier, like the Winter Soldier title was a misdirection because the movie is not really about the Winter Soldier. It's really about the fact that Hydra has infiltrated SHIELD and all that. Could that possibly have been it?
I think that things change behind the scenes a lot. COVID blew things up. Plans changed. Maybe the direction that the MCU is going in changed. A lot of things changed behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently this movie was actually 45 minutes longer. We can talk about that next week. So I was reading some of the stuff they cut out of the film. But I just think this is a poor title for what this puts in your brain, especially after Spider-Verse came out.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a bad title. So one of the titles I would, this is a simple title, but it's more what the movie is: Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch. I think that's a simple, to the point title. That's what the movie's about.
Mm-hmm.
Then I thought you could get a little bit more clever. Doctor Strange and the Witch's Wrath. I think that's a more fun title, and again conveys what the movie is about. And then one that my son proposed, and I think it's hilarious: Doctor Strange in Search of America. If you don't know, America Chavez plays a big part of the film. And so
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think that's a great title. So this is just, Marvel needs to figure out some stuff, because right now this is sitting at 75% on Rotten Tomatoes and the user score is like 87, but it's dropping steadily as more people see the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a bad movie. It's that people got their expectations so high, and that's Marvel's fault. Marvel was like, had people going out there saying, oh, if you thought the cameos in Endgame were crazy, bet you can't wait to Doctor Strange. It's going to blow your mind. That's just playing more and more into your head of, oh, what's it going to be? And it's kind of like literally what you get in the trailer. I won't spoil everything, but it's pretty much your idea of what's in the trailer. Oh, that's what you're getting, So keep your expectations in check with this one. Don't go in there expecting, oh, this is going to fix the mutant problem, or anything. Any of those, mutants are not even mentioned in this movie at all. So just keep your expectations in check. If you're planning to go see this, this is very much a sequel to WandaVision and a follow-up to that story, starring Doctor Strange.
Which, I mean, this was also the issue with WandaVision, where people got their expectations really high.
Absolutely. The Mephisto train
I was a part of it. I was on the Mephisto train.
I was too. And the problem was Marvel thought that people would not figure out the Agatha Harkness thing. Spoilers.
Immediately.
so that would be the big reveal. And as soon as they announced the character name was Agnes, everybody knew. It was all over the internet. Everybody knew that was Agatha Harkness. So their big finale reveal was revealed before the show even started. So everybody's thinking, oh, there's got to be more to it. And then that's all it was.
Yeah.
So just to let you all know, we will be talking about this movie next week after Caleb sees it. We'll do a full spoiler review. We will talk about what worked in the movie, what didn't work in the movie, and what we think is next for the MCU. So that'll all be next week. But again, if you've seen WandaVision or you like WandaVision, I definitely recommend seeing this. If you have not seen WandaVision, I don't think this movie hits the same way.
I'm curious because I'm seeing it with the family tonight. My brother has not seen WandaVision.
Okay.
So he will be the he'll be the guinea pig. I will pick his brain.
I'm just curious because I mean they do a little bit of a recap, but it does. I feel like it won't carry the same emotional weight if you did go on that journey with Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
So be very curious to hear his thoughts. So, all right. So let's get on to the main topic. Now that my rant is over, well, we'll probably do rants more often.
I can rant on stuff.
Yeah. But we're gonna talk about Moon Knight. This was 6 episodes?
Yes.
On Disney Plus. Moon Knight is a character in the comic books. He is a mercenary who got in an argument with one of his, I guess they were partners.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got shot. He was left to die. He crawled into a Egyptian pyramid or temple or whatever, and Khonshu offered him. Khonshu is a ancient deity, Egyptian deity, offered him a second chance at life if he'll become his avatar, and he agrees and becomes the Moon Knight. So it's a typical superhero story. The problem is Mark, who became the Moon Knight, has multiple personality disorder, and he has other personalities in his head. So you never quite know who's in control. So that's kind of a unique twist. He's more than just a Batman knockoff. He's got a lot of issues going on.
Yeah. You know what's weird? I knew that was Moon Knight's origin because I'm a big fan of the character, but putting it in those simple terms, I'd never thought of it. Very, very much Spawn.
Yeah, it is very much Spawn.
I hadn't thought of it, but yeah.
Yeah. So overall, thumbs up or thumbs down the series? What did you think?
Overall, I thought it was a thumbs up. I really enjoyed the series. I thought that. So how many of the Disney Plus Marvel shows have you watched?
I've seen WandaVision, I've seen Loki, I've seen What If, and now Moon Knight.
Okay. So I would say of all of them, I still haven't finished Hawkeye. I need to finish Hawkeye. And after that, I will officially be caught up with the MCU for the first time in a long time. Of the ones I've finished, I think this is probably my second favorite one. With WandaVision being number one. But no, overall, this was really good.
So I just want to jump in real quick. I agree. WandaVision's still my number one.
Yes,
I think the show's very clever. It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
But this will be a close second. Yeah.
Yeah. WandaVision, I think, is one of those that actually gets better on second viewing because you know everything and your expectations are in check.
Mm-hmm.
And so, honestly, I assume that Doctor Strange will get better for the same reason because expectations will be in check. In fact, my expectations are already kind of in check for that movie at this point.
Yeah.
But I do have one thing to say about Moon Knight. I think this over every other Disney Plus series, with the exception of Mandalorian, this has the best premiere episode. So over all the Marvel's shows, this is definitely the best premiere episode. I was immediately hooked on that premiere.
So I know some people did not care for the first episode, and that was just because of Oscar. What's his name?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac's accent. Uh, I was fine with it, but
Yeah.
he's because he's playing split personalities. You have to be able to differentiate them. And one thing he does is kind of a goofy accent for the first personality, Stephen Grant.
Mm-hmm.
So we're introduced to Stephen. He's like an Egyptian nerd. He works at a museum.
In like the gift shop or something. Like he's not even a high-ranking person in this museum. He's not like Indiana Jones.
Right. And there's you kind of sense that he knows so much he should probably be a tour guide, but his life is such a mess because he never knows when his split personalities are going to take over. And that keeps ruining his life.
Which, interestingly, he is not aware of a split personality. All he knows, I think he's under the impression that like he sleepwalks or something, you know?
Yeah, like he's having blackouts or sleepwalking, and he doesn't know. Like he said, my body just won't stop walking, and I never know where I'm going to turn up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a fun character. He's very skittish. He doesn't like violence. He's very opposite of what Moon Knight, what Mark Spector is. So that kind of starts a mystery. I think that's also why some people didn't like the first episode, because they're expecting, oh, this is going to be Batman and beating that stuff up, and it doesn't start out that way.
Right. That's actually part of the reason I like it. One of my favorite things, and they do this a couple times in the show, whenever in the first episode, when Steven blacks out and then wakes back up and his hands are all bloodied and everyone, like, that's cool to me. I think my favorite thing in that first episode is when he's driving like the ice cream truck or something, and then he blacks out and then he wakes back up and everyone's dead and he's driving backwards.
Right, and it keeps happening. It doesn't happen once; it happens a few times during that driving sequence. Each time, something's completely different, and it's pretty fun. So it's, and we'll get to this when we get to the issues of the show. It is violent, but it's not super violent. It's more implied violence at times.
Yeah, like you see people covered in blood, but you never see the blood actually flow.
Yeah, so that's some interesting choice, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get to it when we get to the end. But I thought overall it was fun. Just those sequences of him blacking out and trying to figure out the mystery of what's going on with him. His supporting characters, he has a wife he doesn't know about, named Layla. And then his other big supporting character is Khonshu. Khonshu is the deity. He's the moon god. And he keeps talking to him. So this poor guy has not only has split personalities, he also has this like deity talking in his head all the time. So he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, and he's
I thought,
kill him.
He's telling him to kill people and stuff. I think Khonshu's great. I love Khonshu.
And honestly, Khonshu is the thing I was most scared of going into this. Because I'm like, it's very easily something that could be stupid or not done well. But no, it was done really well, and I think making him more of a presence and him not actually, because he doesn't move a whole lot, and like the beak doesn't like flap or anything like that,
Right.
Like he basically just stands there, and then he's almost like telepathically talking to Mark/Steven.
Right.
And I think that was done really well.
Right. Yeah, this was just a really fun character. I was hoping we would see more of the gods. We really only got 3.
Yeah.
We got a lot of avatars running around, but for the most part, it was just Khonshu. I think it was Amet was the bad guy,
Yeah.
and then
Ahmed.
Talret
Yeah. Ahmed.
that we'll get to here in a little bit. So eventually, Steven and the viewers discover there is a second personality, Mark Spector. Mark Spector is the main personality. And due to some childhood trauma and a horrible mother and some other things going on, he developed this split personality, Stephen Grant, that would come out and kind of protect him during these moments where he would he would try to make things right through Stephen. Then he, and it's kind of told through flashbacks, which I thought was an interesting choice of what happened for him to become Moon Knight. You don't actually find that out till like episode 4 or 5.
Yeah.
They finally get to that story.
Which,
go ahead.
That's in my opinion, that I think that's the coolest thing about the show is we follow Steven at first, but Mark is already knee deep in this adventure.
Yeah. So you're kind of playing catch up with Steven, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and Mark, he doesn't know everything, but Mark is like he's been on this adventure for quite some time. This is not a Moon Knight origin.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that they did not make Bushman the main villain. He's only mentioned, and so I think that's a season 2 thing. If they continue the story, let's see what else. Let's talk about the villain. Ethan Hawke is the villain. We're having kind of like this Ethan Hawke. He's like making a kind of a comeback lately. It seems to me.
I am all for it.
Yeah, the Black Phone looks crazy that he's in. He's got some some other stuff going on.
Did you ever see Sinister?
I have not seen Sinister. No.
It is. So for me, the scariest movie ever is Hereditary, but that's a personal thing. Objectively, and they've done scientific studies on this, Sinister is the scariest movie of all time.
Cool.
And that, honestly, I think that was where because that was like 2010. That's where his comeback really started, and then he's 2012, excuse me. And he's just been slowly making his comeback, and now he's really in it. Like he's in The Northman, Black Phone, Moon Knight. I think he's in Knives Out 2 coming up.
Cool.
And The Purge stuff. He's been a big part of the Purge stuff.
Yeah. So his character, what's his name? Arthur Harrow. He was a former avatar for the Moon Knight, and so now he serves Amet, which is like a crocodile goddess who judges people after their death, to determine if they are good or evil. So he's going around with this little crocodile cane, and it's kind of like scales and balances, where it's judging you, determining all of your life's sins to see if you're a good person or not.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that; it's also judging your future sins as well.
Right.
This is very much like not Falcon. This is very much like Captain America: The Winter Soldier, in that Project Insight was very much like, is anyone going to be a threat here in the future? You know what it is? It is a mystic version of Minority Report.
I was about to say it's Minority Report.
Yeah.
So explore some interesting ideas about, is it right to judge somebody for something they haven't done yet? And how is that different from Moon Knight, who is taking out vengeance on people after they've done the sin? They're very similar characters. I thought he was a lot of fun. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. They go on. I think the first 2 episodes is kind of about finding out that there's 2 personalities and kind of
Mhm.
putting you this mystery.
Yeah.
Episode 3 and 4 is kind of this like Indiana Jones type adventure to try and find, raid the temples and try to find stuff.
Yeah,
I, I
it's a lot of fun.
and like I said, this has been a long week. I was kind of distracted during those episodes doing some other stuff, personal stuff, and so those episodes were not my favorites. But again, that may have just been what was going on while I was watching them.
Yep. Well, I think I definitely think that like the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes are the strongest just because they are so unique, while the middle 2 episodes are very formulaic is a word that we use now in a negative connotation. It's not bad. It's just, par for the course. Yeah, this is a romp. This is an adventure. This is what happens whenever we do stuff like this. So it's not bad. It's just what we do. But those first 2 episodes, there's a lot of intrigue and mystery, and then the last 2 episodes are just so weird and trippy.
I really like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So there's a point where Khonshu gets imprisoned, and he has to make the choice to move the sky so they can see what the constellations looked at some point in the past.
Which I think is so cool. It's such a cool effect.
It's a cool effect, but I leaned over to my son and said, "Yeah, we have computer programs that can do that." And then he just does it. I was like, "Oh, well, you got in prison for nothing. We could have figured that out." So anyhow, so while they're raiding the temple, I want to skip just a little bit forward to the story. Mark gets shot, and that's when the show gets really good for me. Because they did something similar on Deep Space Nine, and on Legion, they've done a couple different shows where you don't know. Now you start questioning what's real. Has this whole show been the character's head while they're in a psych ward? And you could even question still after the show's over. This could still just be him in a psych ward. But I thought that part was a lot of fun, and I thought that was the part where Ethan Hawke again got to shine, because now he's playing the psychiatrist in the mental ward, and you're kind of like, should I trust this guy? Should I not trust this guy? Is he telling the truth? And I just thought it was a lot of fun.
It's like every time we do something like this, in Legion, in this, every other time, I think about that episode of Community.
Yes.
Where they're like, Greendale is actually a psychiatric ward, and then they're like playing paintball, but like using their hands, and they're, ducking behind beds.
Is that the one where there was like flashbacks of things that didn't happen, or is that a different episode?
Yeah. No, that's that one.
Okay.
It's things that like happened in their lives, but it's like
we didn't do an episode about it.
Right. Like my favorite is Troy comes in and he's like, "Good news, guys! I spent all my money," and he's got an ATV in the library, and he's like, "Troy, you can't bring that in here," and he's like, "Yes, I can. It's all terrain, dummy."
I need to do a rewatch of Community. It's so much fun. But the psych thing is fun, because you see, if you pay attention, a lot of characters that have been popping up other places in the series are in the psych ward with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name was Crawley, the street performer, is there and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the psych ward sequence, and I'm gonna go ahead and mention this. I mean, we're doing spoilers, so it's fine. Oh, I forgot to put the spoiler banner on. I made this banner and everything. Here we go. So there is a third personality, and that's kind of the end credit reveal, is that Jake Gallows is the third personality. But if you're paying attention, the clues are all throughout the series. If there is another
Jake Lockley.
Oh, what did I say?
Gallows.
Gallows. That's Punisher 2099.
Yeah,
it's a different character.
Jake Lockley.
Jake Lockley. One of the things that happens in the mental ward is, I think he starts out as Mark.
Yes.
and he finds a sarcophagus with Steven in it.
Yep.
But they keep showing another sarcophagus,
Yep.
and they never find it. And the other thing is, when they start to escape the ward, they are greeted by, I'm gonna say it's wrong, Tawret, I believe is her name.
Towerette, yes.
Yeah. And she is I don't remember what she was the goddess of. It was love and something or something. I don't remember.
Yes. And for those of you who have, goddess of childbirth and fertility.
That's right. That's right.
And for those of you who have seen all the memes and the stills, this is the weird hippo that everyone's talking about.
Yes, yes. I thought she was pretty funny.
Oh, I love it.
Apparently, the voice actors didn't even know what she was playing, which is fun. But she keeps weighing. Part of the Egyptian thing is to weigh your hearts and see if they balance out with the feather.
Yep.
And theirs wouldn't match because they didn't have the third heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because they didn't know to be looking for the third heart, and I kept thinking that's where they were going to find it. So they, so there's hints all throughout the series. Like Arthur keeps telling him, "Hey, you don't know how many personalities are in there with you and stuff." And there's other hints that there's probably a third one involved if you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the first hint of that is in the third episode. Mark starts blacking out.
yes,
and so he blacks out, and his hands are all bloodied and everything, and he thinks that Steven is the one who's doing stuff, but that's not Steven's MO.
right. And then if you go back and rewatch, I think it's episode 1 where he blacks out and getting the scarab. You don't know if that was Jake or Mark that did that time.
Right.
I feel like when it's really bad, it's Jake. And I feel like that
Yes.
first episode was Jake when everybody was like dead in the street and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because like when there's definitely a correlation between how much blood is on Steven's hands.
Yes. So they go on like this Egyptian journey on the ship. All that stuff was really cool. Steven fell overboard and gets turned into stone and into dust. I thought that was really cool. I actually felt bad for him. I felt pretty sad when that happened. So that's pretty good writing when you can make me feel sad for a personality that,
I think that's what this does really well is I actually feel for all of the personalities. And even then, like in those first 2 episodes, you're like, man, Khonshu's kind of a jerk. He might be considered an antagonist, but in episode 3, like with the way that like you hear about what Harrow and Amit have been doing and how the other gods treat Khonshu, you actually kind of feel for him.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on Team Khonshu, but yeah, I definitely see what you're saying because he's still kind of a jerk.
No. He still is, but it's not like he's very much an ends justify the means, but not to the point of he's not an Adrian Veidt.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing we haven't mentioned is Layla at some point becomes the avatar for the hippo.
Yeah.
And she becomes the Scarlet Scarab, I think is her name.
Scarlet Scarab, yes.
I wasn't too crazy about that. It was just kind of like, okay, another superhero, and I don't know if it added much to the story.
It didn't.
I felt it was like, oh, we need to make another Funko.
Yeah,
That's what it felt like. So that was kind of one issue I had. The other issue was I think the blackouts are fun, but there's same times where I was like, we want to imply violence that we can't show on Disney Plus. How do we get away with that? Oh, we know. We just won't show you. We'll just say it happened off camera.
Right. So
and by the time that's happening in like episode 6, it's kind of like, okay, we've seen this before.
it happens. It happens 3 times, and we'll talk about this. We could probably just go ahead into this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it happens in episode 1, 3, and 6. I think it works in episode 1 because it's setting up
For
the
the
mystery.
mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 3, it's setting up the fact that there's a third personality. In episode 6, I'm not a fan of it because it's like they cut out the resolution.
Right. It's like all of a sudden, oh, there's an axe in Arthur's head. What happened? And she's like, what just happened? And I'm hoping if we get a season 2, like it'll be from Jake's personality at first, his point of view, and we'll see those scenes, what was happening when he was in charge. I don't know though, because it was probably going to be extremely violent. So
probably,
but I'm hoping that we get to see that. One of the other things. Well, let's talk a little about the final battle. I don't have a cool picture of this. I thought the deities fighting in the sky was really cool.
Oh yeah.
I love them fighting in the background while the avatars are fighting on the ground. I thought that was just a really neat visual. But it's also kind of like, well, how do you top that in a season 2?
Yeah.
Now is it 3D or 3 deities fighting or what?
Well, and that's why with WandaVision you have that big fight with Vision versus Vision and Agatha versus Wanda. You follow that up with the Doctor Strange movie. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, it's super cool. And the thing that I love the most about this, growing up, I was of the Yu-Gi-Oh generation. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game. I loved all that, and it got me really into like Egyptology. And so this it just took me back because all the avatars and the deities, Khonshu. I just needed like Ra to show up, and I would have been golden.
I think that was a missed opportunity. They should have at least shown what Ra looked like. Because with Thor Love and Thunder coming out and dealing with different deities, just throwing him in one of the scenes where maybe the gods are being about why is Gore doing all this, you could say, oh, that's the one from Moon Knight, just something to connect them or something, Yeah.
And that's one thing that I do like about Moon Knight a lot is apparently they cut out the 2 things that really firmly connected them to the MCU. I like the fact that this is in its own vacuum. For the most part. There's a part that is not in its... The fact that it sets up a season 2 is my biggest issue with it, because I would have liked this to be in its own 6-episode vacuum.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and get to that. That's my least favorite part, is the fact that we've got this third personality, and it's cool. It's a nice, it's a nice reveal, but this really could have been a solid 6 episodes,
one and done.
Yeah. Not every, and this is the issue with Marvel Studios as a whole. We all know this. Not everything has to be connected. Not everything has to set up the next thing. But according to Marvel, it does.
And I know they were going for the reveal. I would have left Arthur in the mental ward at the end. I don't like them killing off villains. I've never liked them killing off villains.
No, yeah. Especially that, like, he's such a good villain. I enjoyed him quite a lot. And one of the things that confused me, because whenever Ethan Hawke was doing interviews, he was talking about how he was basing off of a lot of cult leaders, such as
David Koresh. And,
David Koresh, a little bit of Fidel Castro. But he also said Nurse Ratched. And I never knew what he was talking about. But, you watch the show and then, there's some Nurse Ratched in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was great, but like I said, there were some issues. But overall, I really enjoyed it. One of the things we have not mentioned was the way the suit works is different from the comic books. In comic books, it's just a costume.
Yeah,
From my understanding, I'm not a huge Moon Knight fan, so I'm not.
yeah,
I don't up on my lore, but
it's just a costume. I'll go ahead and say this is an upgrade. This is how it should be.
I liked it because when the different personalities put it on, it can change, and I'm curious to
Yes.
see what Jake's looks like.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought at first I was like, why are they doing this? And then as the series went on, I was like, oh, okay, this works. I'm cool with this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super cool, and I love Mr. Knight. Mr. Knight is hilarious.
Yes.
He's like, oh, she said I needed a suit.
Right. He called him like Colonel Sanders or something
Yeah.
crazy.
Right. Psycho Colonel Sanders. That's what
Psycho Colonel Sanders. Yes. Yeah. So overall, I liked this a lot. I think the next series after this is Miss Marvel, which I'm not looking forward to at all.
Neither am I.
I don't think I'm going to watch it unless I hear a lot of good buzz. I'm probably going to skip this one unless you make me watch it.
I'll watch it just because at this point I like being a part of culture.
Yeah.
I want to be able to talk to, because like I was not a part of the Game of Thrones culture. I didn't like Game of Thrones in general anyway. Like I watched the first 3 seasons. I binged those after the fact, and I wasn't a fan. But even if I did like it, I didn't have HBO, so I wasn't a part of that anyway.
Game of Thrones is problematic because the books are better, but the books are unfinished.
Yeah, right.
And at this point, he keeps saying the next book is coming, and he's not getting any younger. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he's playing 2 more books, and he keeps getting sidelined by other projects. And it's kind of like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Are you just have writer's block, or you just don't want to finish it, or what?
I mean, I'll go ahead and say, Elden Ring was worth it.
Yeah, I Elden Ring is that like a
I think we lost him.
Dark Souls type game? I don't know.
Yeah, there we go.
Is that basically like Dark Souls?
Yes, it is Dark Souls meets Breath of the Wild, although I think it's better than Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
But I'm also not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild. I'm the weird one.
Hey,
but
Stone Cold Steve Austin said it was the best Zelda game.
I disagree with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm looking at the slate for the upcoming TV shows. She-Hulk comes out this year. I'm actually really excited for She-Hulk.
I'm super excited for She-Hulk, as long as it, I'm hoping they don't screw it up. But I'm also hoping it kind of explores the Hulk universe, because we really have not gotten that since the first movie. And we've talked before how we don't like how they're handling the Hulk character in the MCU. So hopefully they fix some of that. We shall see.
And then we've got 2 specials towards the end of the year. In October, it looks like it's an untitled Halloween special. I assume it's going to be Werewolf by Night.
I would assume so.
That's what I'm hearing. So I've heard rumors that this is where we will get the first glimpse of Mahershala Ali's Blade.
Okay, I could see that.
I'm hoping.
They have to just do a Midnight Suns type story with Moon Knight and Blade and Werewolf by Night.
Yeah,
I'd be up for that.
And then in December we're getting that Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
It's gonna be so good. I've already seen some of the Christmas ornaments from it. It's so much fun.
Have you seen Star-Lord's new costume?
I have seen Star-Lord's new costume.
It looks so good.
It looks amazing. If you are a fan of the comic books, it is moi. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's I'm so excited for it. It's not that I didn't like his costume. but there's something about that almost military looking mercenary, and the blue just looks better.
Yeah. It looks great. Let me see if I can find a picture of it really quick so I can see what we're talking about.
And then we've got Secret Invasion, which I hate Secret Invasion, the comic book, but Emilia Clarke is in this, and I love her, so that's exciting. Ironheart, I hate Ironheart. Everyone I've ever talked to also hates Ironheart. So we'll see about that. Armor Wars. I'm excited for Armor Wars.
I'm not too crazy about either of those. Armor Wars, I'm just kind of like, yeah. Of course, I'm not a big Iron Man guy. I never have been.
So I am a big Iron Man guy, but the issue that we're running into is, so when it comes to like Iron Man stories, you've got Demon in a Bottle, which is like the most famous, followed by Armor Wars. And so we've done Armor Wars and we've done the Mandarin, neither involving Tony Stark.
That and probably I would say the other one is the man in the iron suit, where the suit goes crazy and starts and kills somebody, and he's is like holding him hostage and stuff. I think that's a fun story. So anyhow, there is Mr. Pratt dressed as Star-Lord there.
It's so good.
It's so comic accurate. It's going to be amazing. And James Gunn came out and said that, I got to tell the 3 stories the way I wanted to tell them. So I'm so excited for Guardians 3. Really looking forward to that. We'll see. We got Thor coming up, and we'll talk about this more next week. The more I see that Thor trailer, the more iffy I get on it.
I mean, I've kind of been iffy on it because it's a sequel to Ragnarok.
Well, and one of the complaints is that Phase 4 is kind of rudderless right now. And we'll talk about this more after you see Doctor Strange 2. I think that there is a path forward, but they're not really laying down the groundwork correctly.
Yeah, I mean, like I have no idea where it's going, because I feel like they're setting up the multiverse, and they're setting up Dark Avengers
and Young Avengers and Kang and
Kang. Yeah, I could see Kang being like the big bad of the multiverse stuff. I could see that. I would disagree with it, but I get it. But I don't know where the Dark Avengers would fit into this.
It's like we're waiting for the big event that's either going to introduce mutants or something that's going to launch us into the next part, and they're not. And I think fans are getting frustrated right now.
Yeah,
I mean, Doctor Strange is doing Gonzo at the box office, but I don't know if it'll stay that way after the word gets out of what the movie is and what it isn't. So we'll see.
And
we'll talk about that more next week. So let's go ahead and get on to He Made Me Do It. So I have a confession to make about this one.
Okay.
I was really tired when I was watching this yesterday.
Okay.
I may have dozed off a little bit towards the end. Not that it was bad. I just was very tired. So I will probably revisit this at some point. But I enjoyed, I like those characters. I think John Constantine's always fun.
Yes.
Always fun.
And that's really why I wanted you to watch this. I really wanted to talk about this because whenever Doctor Strange is brought up, I think John Constantine is just like a more interesting version of Doctor Strange.
And
so I just wanted to talk John Constantine.
I thought the House of Mystery was really cool.
Oh yes, I love the House of Mystery.
And is that how it works in the comic books? I'm not
Yes.
terribly familiar with. Okay.
Yes. Now the weird thing about it is, for the most part, John is kind of a drifter who like rents flats and just kind of travel. Like the House of Mystery has never really been his until recently, which makes sense because this was made at the time um, that they were adapting all these new 52 stories.
Right.
Um, and what honestly, the number one thing that I like about this is, this goes against everything that is typically like we don't make adaptations like this anymore. Um, because in adaptations, we always assume there's going to be a sequel, and so we don't do everything, and we're setting stuff up. We saw this in Moon Knight. I'm sure we're seeing this in Doctor Strange when I see it tonight. Um, but when they made this, first of all, this feels like a passion project, but also it feels like they're like, oh, we're not going to get a sequel to this. Let's just throw everything in here. We're going to throw in Swamp Thing's origin. We're going to throw in Dead Man, and we're going to throw in like we got a definitive ending to Jason Blood and Etrigan.
Yes. Yeah. Which was pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
I liked, like I said, I liked all the characters. I'm a big fan of Zatanna, or Zatanna.
Mm-hmm.
She is always a fun Batman character when she shows up. I liked the villain twist, that Richie is the bad guy.
Oh yes.
That was a lot of fun. So overall, I did enjoy it. It's always fun when Batman's dealing with something that is out of his element.
Yes.
So we got a lot of that. I wish Swamp Thing was in it a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's always one of my favorite characters. But overall, I did enjoy it. I will have to rewatch it at some other point though, because like I said, I was just exhausted last night.
I think
So
I was watching it earlier today, just preparing to talk about it. One of my favorite parts is whenever the mom jumps off the building and Batman has the baby, and he says, "I'm sorry" to the baby.
I didn't even catch that. Yeah, that's good.
That to me is Batman.
Yeah,
To me, the quintessential thing of Batman is someone who is trying to stop what happened to him from happening to anybody else.
right.
And so whenever a baby is orphaned like that, he will feel for the baby. And I love that. So many John Constantine lines. I remember when I watched this for the first time, and this was not one that I was like super excited for. But when I watched this, whenever DC Universe was a thing before HBO Max kind of took it over, and I quote this all the time now, is whenever Jason stabs Destiny, and John says, "Is that a sword in your chest? Or are you just glad to see me?" It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I thought the opening scene was brutal, where the lady was running over everybody.
Oh yeah.
I thought the card game with the demons was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun movie. Like I said, I was just tired.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about it too is, as a kid, one of the episodes of Justice League that really sticks out in my mind, and like I've always thought about it, is the episode Only a Dream with Dr. Destiny. And so as I'm watching this, and it's like, oh, Felix Faust is the bad guy. That's cool. Felix Faust is all right. And then it turns out that it's actually Dr. Destiny. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. Good stuff. So next week we're gonna keep it a little short today because it is Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find a Sam Raimi movie for you to watch, and you've seen most of the good ones. So,
Yeah.
so I decided to switch gears, um, and I think it's time for one of my all-time favorite movies that you have not seen. Um, it's Gremlins 2 time.
Oh gosh.
I would recommend, if you haven't seen the first one in a while, maybe watch the first one first.
Yeah.
Just so you can compare how different the two movies are. And you'll make a lot of the references in the second one funnier because they are constantly referencing the first movie. But I adore this film. I know some people don't like it. It is tonally very different from the first movie. It's definitely not taking itself as serious, but I think that's how it should be because these are gremlins and they're not taking themselves serious. So,
Was Sam Raimi involved in Gremlins 2?
no, he's not involved. I just the reason I'm going to go with Gremlins is there's a new cartoon series coming out very soon. I think to HBO Max, The Secrets of the Mogwai, and it's going to explore the story of the original owner in like the 1940s when he first found Gizmo, and just explore the backstory of Gizmo and how that all happened.
So am I gonna be able to watch these on HBO Max then?
Yes, they should be on HBO Max.
Cool. Now, I haven't seen Gremlins 2. I have seen the Key and Peele video.
If you haven't seen the Key and Peele video about Gremlins 2, it is amazing.
We'll probably bring that up next week anyway.
Yeah. That video is very accurate to this movie. I follow Joe Dante on Facebook, the one who made this, and he's always talking about doing another one. I wish they'd let him make another one. I mean, they just did the Mountain Dew commercial with Billy and Gizmo. I think there's an audience. But Gremlins 2 is so much fun. It really is. I think the first one is a little bit, I wouldn't say super scary, but it has a lot more jump scares. This one's toned way down from that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So we'll talk about this next week, and I'm sure that will bring up a lot of discussions about Ted Turner and Donald Trump, as there's a character parodying both of them. So that'll be a fun discussion. So there's your homework if you want to watch this along with Caleb. It is on HBO Max. I highly recommend it. Don't go in expecting a scary horror film. That is not what this is. This is a lot of fun and a lot of commentary on Ted Turner.
Yeah.
Speaking
of which, just go ahead and tell me this before I go and see it. Doctor Strange is a Sam Raimi film. Is it in that vein of Evil Dead in a sense?
So this may be part of the problem with the film that you could, or criticism you could make about the movie, is that tonally it kind of jumps, like it changes into a different type of movie at a certain point. And then kind of goes away, and then towards the end, it definitely turns into a Sam Raimi movie. And you'll know when it happens. So, and we'll talk about this next week. It may run into the same problem the Batman movie had recently, where this is not for, and that may cut into its box office once word gets out that this is not something you should take your children to. We shall see. We shall see. So, Matthew has asked me, my son's asked me several times, is this the goriest Marvel MCU movie we've seen? I was like, I mean, I'm not saying it's super gory, but it's definitely more violent than we're used to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of maybe gore is the wrong word. Oh, unless it's not. Like, I haven't seen it, so maybe there is actual gore. But violence might be the definite word that we're looking to use. But yeah,
you know how in Evil Dead, how he will build up suspense in Evil Dead, like you're just like, okay, something's gonna jump out, and then you're waiting a while, and then you kind of like, okay, that's gonna jump out, and then it jumps out and scares you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
Okay.
So, and there's jokes in this movie that people will not get unless you're a Sam Raimi fan.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So you'll know what I mean when it happens. So, yeah, like I said, overall, I like this movie. I just have some issues with the movie the more I think about it. But we'll talk about that next week, right here on Pop Culture Shark. Join us next Sunday. The Doctor Strange spoilers. To hear your thoughts on Doctor Strange next week. If you got any thoughts about Moon Knight, please post them below. And we will talk to you next week. I've been Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
We'll talk to you then. Bye.
See you.